Let me pull it up.
Hopefully it doesn't mess anything up though.
Mm-mm-mm. Select you. Get it here. That make it so freaking weird. Switch.
It takes. I think it's on like a little bit of a delay, so it takes a few seconds anyways to show
Yeah.
up.
You put on the Philly channel.
Yeah.
All right, be vigilant. The end is close. It says 39 minutes ago.
All
You
right,
do one
brother.
already?
A brother. No, yeah, a brother came in and said it's called Tawab. So it
All
looks
right.
like we're live. It looks like we're fine. No,
Okay.
yeah, the first one that I scheduled was for 7 p.m., but we got pushed back. That's all. So I
Okay.
rescheduled it.
All right.
All right, yeah. So we should be good. Hey, the water to the brother. First and foremost, we want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh,
Yahweh
Bahashem, Yahweh
Bashem
Shai,
Yahushua
Bahashem, Rakakwadash.
Bashem Barakwadash.
Double honors, of course, unto our elders and apostles, great millstone, and a hearty and sincere shalom to all the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Dabak. I got the brother Zion with me, and through the Spirit, we're just gonna do a quick lesson about vigilance. Especially because we are in the times of the end, and I'm just gonna have the brother read the precept, and then we're just gonna get into it from there. And Lord's will, this lesson will be edifying.
Yep.
So if you get First Peter's 5 and 8, please, Bakusha.
This is First Peter's 5 and 8. It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour."
Right. So, coming into these end times and, coming into the faith in general, you understand that you're more susceptible to attacks. Remember, this battle that we fight is spiritual, so Satan comes through different avenues. It might be at the workplace, might be on the roadway, might be in the home, might be through your woman, might be through your children. But the idea is to be vigilant. And, the dictionary definition for vigilant I have here is to be keeping a careful watch for potential danger, right? So we know inevitably Satan is trying to find ways to trap you up, to put you in a difficult situation, but not just a difficult situation, but in the means of trying to cause you to stumble and to fail, right? Cause you to regress instead of progress. So this is why we need to keep a watchful eye, and even as the scriptures say, being circumspect. As a matter of fact, you know what, brother? Actually, we can once we read the definitions, because I still want you to go into the blue letter for
Right.
vigilant, and also the blue letter uh, definition for sober. Head to Ephesians 5 and 15. So this is why we got to keep a careful watch and monitor everything that's going on around us, right? And this also goes and ties into examining yourself, right? um Being that we're coming closer to the end, we are susceptible to greater level of attack, you know and that's really to try to weaken you. And the purpose of weakening you is to ultimately cause you to be sifted out of this thing. This is why you need to be on your watch, especially when it comes to your spiritual, or having your spiritual defenses at exercise and at an all-time high, you know but if you can go ahead and just read read the precept again, actually. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then we'll take it from the top and get into the word sober and the word vigilant. Bye-bye.
Yep. Yep. So First Peter 5 and 8 says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." And the first word there being sober, nefo, um, to be sober, to be calm and collected in spirit, to be temperate, dispassionate, and
So,
circumspect.
right. So, just off those couple definitions alone, right? To be, uh, what did it say? Self control.
Temperate, but yeah, that means
Yeah, yeah. Temperate,
self-control.
self
Yeah.
controlled. What was the first definition?
To be calm and collected in spirit.
Calm and collected. Calm and collected. That's what. If you're calm and collected, you're having a sense of control or sense of discipline. So, you know, being sober is having a stable position, right? So when things are happening, you got to remember to keep a spiritual perspective, right? Because again, we all go through different things, and the different attacks that we go through, right? They're there to try to not only test, but to see how strong our defenses are, right? That's why if you being sober, you collect it in your spirit, because I think that's also another definition, right? Collected in spirit. As a matter of fact, if you could, brother, look up collected in the regular dictionary, because I believe one of the definitions literally means to control oneself or to have self control.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Just yeah, if you can look at that real quick.
You said you want me to look up
Collected, the
select
word
H.
collected.
Click, yeah,
Yeah, the word collected.
and just dictionary.com kind of.
Yeah, or a Google search, whichever.
Collected. Um,
It's gonna give you a lot.
defin-
I know when I looked at
yeah,
it right before.
definition. Verb number three says regain control of oneself.
Right.
Typically after a shock.
There you go. There you go. Hey, this hey, when we go through different things, man, it's a series of shocks. They're like as the scripture says, well, uh the scriptures say to not think it no strange thing for the fiery
Yeah, yep,
trial that
yep,
is to
yep,
come upon you, right? So but it's
yep,
a series of stress tests, right? Or
yep,
shock.
yep,
So to regain control. Now, how do you regain control? Through prayer, through fasting, through applying the scriptures, right?
yep,
That's that,
yep.
and it takes a level of discipline and self-control to properly applicate the scriptures, right? But that is a part of your spiritual arsenal to ward off these attacks. Okay, brothers are being attacked in their sleep. What's the first thing you need to do? Is pray to the Lord, right? Anoint yourself. You gotta equip yourself spiritually. Bless the home, right? So this is all a part of your spiritual arsenal in protecting yourself against these things. Now, doesn't mean we're going to be totally absolved. We're still going to experience, different, uh, left-handed adversity, but it's about better equipping ourselves to overcome those different challenges and battles. Remember, as
Yep.
the brother read, Satan as the adversary, he's going about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And Satan can't devour you when you're on your watch, when you're keeping guard, and when you're taking the necessary steps to protect yourself. Right? You may
It's not
come
a
under
precept too, by
attack,
the way.
but you're still gonna overcome. What's that?
Yep. It's not a precept then too.
Okay, Khan, go ahead. What's your precept?
This is Proverbs 25 and 28. It says, "He that had no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls." So if you can't, when all hell is breaking loose and or whatever trials and tribulations you're going through, if you can't collect your spirit, if you can't calm yourself down and work in the spirit, you're like a city with no walls, man. It could just be easily infiltrated, easily be broken down, seen through by the spiritual demon Satan and by the physical representation of the spiritual demon Satan, which we know is Esau Edom, the flood in which he coming in, as that spiritual demon Satan, the physical counterpart rather. If you don't have any control of your spirit, and you don't stay calm and collected, and then trusting in Yahweh Shema Shai, you're going to be, basically taken
Yeah,
through them
basically
judgments.
persuaded and influenced to
Yep.
go opposite of the Most High. You know, and the brother makes a good point. Like what happens on us, or what happens to us on an individual level and on our daily lives, is really a precursor for what's about to happen, you know, in a general sense, right? The C hip being implemented,
Yep.
the breakdown of society, right? So if
Yep.
you don't
Yep.
have rule over your spirit now, and applicate the scriptures and have faith and trust in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, then when the hour of temptation arises, brothers having to go through their darkest hour, right? When all these things inevitably come upon the world as that final test, you're not going to be equipped with the strength necessary to pass those tests, you know? Because really, this is all training for what's to come. And we in those end times. Any day now, a major event could happen, right? Or a series of events could happen that changes the course of the way that things operate within society, you know? And we see it. Everything is literally uh at the door, so to speak, you know?
Yep.
So this is why it's important to have a spirit of vigilance now, right? To keep careful watch for the potential danger. The scriptures say that a prudent man foreseeth the
Yep.
evil and
Evil.
hideth
Yep.
himself. Now, where do we? What's our hiding place, right? Our hiding place is within the scriptures, the secret place of the Most High, within this Word, right? Within the confines of the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, which is this truth, right?
Yep.
The scriptures
Yeah.
say that
When
the
and when
righteous man.
okay,
No, no, you're good. You're good. I was just
I was
gonna
gonna say
say.
when
No,
go ahead.
go ahead. Slack, slack.
It's
Go ahead.
a little delay. I was gonna say that like when all hell's breaking loose, like you can't be like quick to make any hasty judgments without basically kind of collecting yourself in the spirit, like to seek after Yahweh Shema Shai in the spirit. Like if you're just quickly to be quick with any type of like irrational decisions,
Right,
not not looking for the spirit first, you're gonna end up tripped up, especially like like when you see everything with the that that virus that broke out, uh people were really hasty to go to the nearest escape, and they escape, and that escape ended up being that jab. But
right,
like that's like a lot of people's, that's going to be a lot of people's downfalls, to be quick. Like when all hell starts breaking loose, they're going to be too quick and too hasty in their decisions, and not seeking after the spirit. And that's why we now always, right now, the way we prepare ourselves to always seek after the spirit, whether we're going through hell or not going through hell. Because it's going to talk about how we know when a man's going through troublous times, that's when he wants to call into the Lord. But we constantly seek after Yahweh Shema Shai diligently. Even now when there's really nothing going on. That way, when stuff really is going on, we can seek after the Spirit to guide us, in the direction we need to be guided. That way, we don't, making it hasty and irrational decisions. Like obviously, like something like as crazy as taking the sea hip. You know what I mean? When
right.
you're only met
Well,
with nothing but that being the scapegoat to escape persecution, people are gonna be quick to be like, I gotta take this. This is what it is. Look at the shot. Look how everyone was like, oh, I gotta take this. This is how I get back to normalcy.
right, right,
So
right. Well, just to add on to your point, and just to clarify, because there is a difference to making irrational decisions. I'm glad that you use that terminology. Irrational decisions, right? Being so hasty that you make unnecessary mistakes. There's a difference between irrational decision making and then being decisive. When you're
yep,
decisive, you possess the ability to make quick, right decisions, right? When the scriptures say, "Be not hasty in the time of trouble." See,
yep,
but
yep,
we understand we in a great time of trouble
yep,
right now. We in the midst of the beginnings of Jacob's trouble, with ICE
yep,
agents running around, and they going after regular citizens. Yeah, sure, they're doing their little tactical raids with specific targets, but there's a lot of so-called American citizens getting caught up in these raids. So what happens if you come across one of these agents? You're gonna lose your shit, or you're gonna try to implement wisdom, right? Be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove, right? I seen a
yep, yep,
video just yesterday where a woman was filming an ICE agent and he came up and said, "You can't film me." And she said, "I have every right to legally film you." And he said, "Well, good job. You just made it into our database as a domestic terrorist."
Wow, that's fucking crazy.
So literally,
Yep.
we at a point now, which we understand they just throwing them terms around. An insurrection is, all right. A protester is the new buzzword for what they really mean and what they really want to classify you as, which is a DT, right?
Yep. Yep.
And now, if you filming uh, federal agents, all right, or you filming, different agents that now you classified as a DT. So that's the narrative right now. So this is why you gotta be moving very carefully. And if you approach in or you happen to be in one of these situations, first and foremost, you gotta pray to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai for protection. You should be
Yep.
praying, as the scriptures say, without ceasing. Literally. Pray before you leave, right? If you make it back safe, thank the Most High. Pray to the Most High to keep you safe wherever you are in the moment, right? So you pray first, and then you apply wisdom if you find yourself in a precarious situation, right? It's something that might potentially cause you harm or jeopardy, right?
Yep.
So, because that's the times that we're living in, and these are all precursors for those, different, uh, 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 final testing, final temptation, so to speak. Uh, uh,
Yep.
so,
I got a
yeah, so
precept too.
so
Then.
Yeah, con.
Sorry.
Like I said, I just wanted to highlight the fact that you brought out
Yep.
a good point. There's a difference between irrational thinking, which is basically moving without any sort of pre-thought or can you still hear me? Because my car just actually
Yeah.
shut off.
Yeah. 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 You're good.
Yeah, it's
You're good.
got
I
like
hear you.
a safe mode on. So there's a difference between irrational decision making and being decisive, which
Yep.
decisiveness is literally the ability to make quick but accurate decisions. And see,
Yep.
through the spirit,
Yep.
you can make a quick decision, right? Which way do I go? This way, that way. Bam, you make a move, but you know how to maneuver. Because why? You're
Yep.
using sound wisdom,
Yeah. Yeah. There it
right?
is. Yep. Yep. Yep.
You
Yep.
already
Yep.
you
Yep.
already know what dangers
Yep.
lie out here. So you already prepared. Hey man, something that our dad always taught us is to anticipate danger. But that's in the
Yep.
scriptures because we're reading
Oh, you
it.
got to look
Be
ahead. Yeah,
sober,
you say
be
you got to
vigilant.
look ahead.
Be
Yeah, you got to look
sober, be
ahead, both
vigilant.
physically and spiritually. How do you look ahead?
Yeah,
How do you prepare yourself for the dangers? By looking ahead and observing things afar off. You have to
right,
observe things afar off.
right.
As you approach it, then you're already a step of the game because you're seeing things
Yeah,
afar off. Just like
right,
these these prophecies, we see them afar off because they're told to us from the ancient, right? And that was one of the precepts we can get to. But that's how we're able to look 5 steps ahead because it's spoken about. So
yeah,
we're peeking our head, like like the brother said, like our dad used to tell us, like always look a couple cars ahead because that will tell you what dangers lie awake. So you're looking at forward side. You're looking at what's behind what's in front of you. You know what I mean? You're looking at afar off of what's in front of you, not what's directly in front of you. Because
right.
oftentimes you look at directly what's in front of you, you get blindsided, but what's further down the line of what's in front of you. But if that makes any sense,
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But go
But
ahead.
I got two presets. One, I want to bring out this preset that the brother brought out because he brought it out beautifully, and now partner up with Esdras. It's Isaiah 33:6. It says, "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure." So, like that's where we get all our spirit from is that knowledge, wisdom, understanding that was told aforetime. That's how we're able to move our move and make our steps and ground ourselves in the spirit is by by adhering to the words, adhering to the prophecies, is how we're able to even assess any danger. That's why the majority of the people, like, they walk aimlessly with no guide because they look and seek after Esau, Edom, in the way he tells you to direct your steps, and basically to have no care. That Esau will tell you to not give a damn. You only live once, and don't care, and that there's no repercussions for your actions. That's how Esau will have you, live your life. But that's not how the spirit. That's not how Yahweh Shema Shai. That's not how the scriptures tell you to live your life. So no, that's where
Right,
we draw our that's where we draw our movement from. You know what I mean? From the words that we're speaking aforetime.
right.
So
Well,
this
like
is
the
us.
scriptures say. like the scriptures say, if I may land back off that real
Yep,
quick,
yep.
that's why the scriptures say, Amos 3:6, surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto the servants, the
There you
prophets.
go.
So
Yep,
in other
yep,
words, we are in the know. And what we have been imparted and enlightened into, we share that. But it's
yep,
only for the elect. It's only for
yep,
those who the Lord
yep,
imparted
yep,
faith onto,
yep,
and they're gonna take heed, because the rest of the
yep,
world, like you said, they're gonna be blindsided by these things. They're gonna follow after the ways of the oppressor. They're gonna trust in oppression. So ultimately, that strength is gonna fail them, and we see it time and
yep,
time
yep,
and time again. People are so fucking invested in a false sense of security, and then they get caught up in the, you know, decisions that they make, and it's like, well, bro, how did you not see that coming?
yep,
Right?
yep,
You could have
yep.
avoided that, but people are not looking ahead. You know,
Yeah, if
and then
if
and
I
they're
could use
very
it,
distracted. Like, you got to think about
yep.
it.
There you go. Yep,
First,
yep,
first of all, they distracted because, they rely on the media, right? The mainstream media, as Esau calls it, for all of their information, right? And we know that there's always a narrative being pushed, and they don't ever look beyond the narrative. Not that they even have the capacity or potential to look beyond the narrative. But then their diet's messed up. So their
hmm
minds aren't even thinking on a higher level, right? They're more in a sedative state where they're just willing to accept and comply. And that's the state
yep,
of the people. It's easier for them to just accept and comply than it is for them to start tapping into reality and start making necessary adjustments for what's coming down the pike. Because really,
yep,
people are fucking afraid, you know? But if you are an Israelite, right? If you're a so called Negro, Latino, or Native American, right? You're supposed to be putting your trust and hope in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. You're
there you go.
supposed to be repenting, confessing your faults, and seeking Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, so that it may be you are hid in the evil day. Okay? Because that's the only way to truly escape. See, this is our hope. And we trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, because the Lord not only gave us of that faith, but he's built us up, and we've applied these things, and we see that they're true, they're genuine, that the Lord is making good on all his promises, and that even we can see that, as he says, he holds his word higher than himself. He's
Yep.
showing that to be true,
hmm
time and time again. So, Salakia, we got I know you're reading some precepts. Once you're done with the precepts that you're reading, I want to tap into the comment board so we can kind of go through what brothers are posting. And by the way, shalom to all the Akim
Yep.
on the
Shalom,
comment
Akim.
board. Yep.
Yep. This is second Esdras 9, and I just want to just do a land back on what you're saying. Just a quick point that, like, kind of like, words easy to be understood. Like, like something as simple as like looking both ways before you cross the street because of danger of getting hit by a car. Like, that's knowledge, that's wisdom, that's understanding. But not everybody's imparted that knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Just like this truth, just like something as like the RFID, CHIP, World War III, the elect receiving salvation and the wicked receiving judgment. That's
Jacob's
something that
trouble.
can't be seen.
Yeah.
That's something that can't be, like, no matter how many times we tell you look both ways before you cross the street because you'll get hit by a car. Don't matter how many times we say that. If you're not imparted that knowledge and wisdom and understanding to adhere to those words, you're just going to walk across the street and then get blindsided by the vehicle. Now, back to our point about being vigilant because the adversary of the devil. The devil's out here telling you, don't worry about looking both ways before you cross the street. It's okay. Stay on your cell phone when you're walking across the street. Don't listen to those sounds of beeping horns and the sounds of sirens going across the street. You're not going to receive no danger. That's what Satan, Esau, Edom, and these other nations are telling our people to basically not to adhere to. While we are out here telling you the opposite, right? But the way the spirit's set up, to that people that 2/3 of our people are going to fall victim to the wiles of the devil, man. They're going to adhere to to Esau, Edom, and his philosophies and his doctrine, and that Satan is going to take them in the devices that he's imagined, pretty much, right? So we're out here exclaiming, to look both ways and use sound doctrine and use the wisdom, use the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of the prophets of old and of the scriptures. But unfortunately, the majority of the people, man, is going to keep walking down this street, while cars are zooming by and getting get killed, man. Just straight up,
Yeah,
straight
well,
up. You're going to get
hey,
killed.
unfortunately
And,
for
and,
them,
and,
because it's not really
and,
unfortunate. It's just
yeah,
unfortunate
well,
for them.
yeah. Realistically, yeah. So I just want to get this precept real quick. This is 2 Esdras 9:1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I've told thee before. So the
Yeah,
angel told Esdras all that you got to, if you read all of Esdras, Esdras is constantly being reminded by the angel of all the things that are going to happen to this kingdom,
right.
to this new Babylon, man. So, like he said, when seeing these parts of signs pass, which I've told you before, that's why we're able to move the way we move, because of the signs that have been told. We are anticipating them because we believe the words in which the book, say. It says, verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So just like you see cars coming down, you hear that car coming by, you realize, oh shit, that's danger. When we start seeing these earthquakes, we start seeing these uproars of the people. We see, the government shutdowns. We see the ICE agents. We see, divisions sowed amongst all the people. We know that is well aware of the World War III. We know that it's well aware of the ancient times, the end of the days, the days upon the end days upon end days, So we see these things, man, because it was spoken about by the Lord prior to, So that's
Right.
all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah, yeah, yep. All good points. Solid points, brother. Solid points. Yep. So I just want to see what brothers are saying here. I know try to start at the top here. We got
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we got this brother Barazal, Ratazal, 144K, Shalom. Let's see, show on stage, and he put up 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see that, man, you know, this uh this devil Trump, you know, he's talking a whole bunch of shit. He's stirring a lot of things up. He's basically burning bridges. You know, I believe it was said that he's leaving the World Health Organization. Right? We know a couple months before 2026, he spoke proudly before the United Nations Committee.
Yep.
Talking about how great America is, and he was getting on these other nations, being all proud. But then when he talks to Americans, he says, "Oh, we're in a golden era now. Inflation is lowest as it's ever been." You know, uh, he talks about how he reduced war and all that, which is not even true, because he started a whole bunch of conflicts. He's starting conflicts now. So we see, the double speak from Esau Edom. And one moment, he's talking, proud, and revealing himself on his plans, and then second, you know, he's speaking two ways. The next thing he says is how he's interested in trying to keep the peace and work out and make a deal. That's another thing he likes to throw around. Oh, we're gonna come to a deal, right? But the scriptures say that when they speak like that, just know that what's to follow is sudden destruction, right?
Yep.
When these people start to, uh, 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 hold on to that false sense of hope and security of this idea of peace and safety, just know sudden destruction is going to follow. And that's
Yep.
because we are at the time of the end, we're at the time of judgment. And that's when real peace is going to enter the earth, is when the enemy is taken out.
Yep.
And
Yep.
people are put in subjection to the righteousness of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Bashim Rekakwadash. So that's a
Yep.
good precept.
If I could bring up just real quick to land back that, this is Proverbs 27:12. It says, a prudent man perceiveth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And that's that simple passing on. The ones that are not, um, they're the ones that are saying peace and safety. That they're
Right.
the ones that are not, not adhering to the precepts, man. They're passing on. They're gonna
Right.
freaking be, fuel for the fire.
Come, we got another one from the same brother, Barazar Ratazah, 144K. Isaiah 33:6. And through the Spirit we read this, but we're going to read it again. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Right. So
Yep.
having an understanding of the character of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right, is going to incline the way that you interact, the way you behave. Because think about it. When you know that there are consequences for the things that you do, when you understand the times that we're living in, right, and you truly believe, you're going to adapt to that so that you are not taken by those things. You're not taken by the wrath of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and you're actually hoping for mercy. You're not provoking the
Yep.
Lord. See, our people right now, they just provoking the Lord on a daily basis. Literally, they provoke him every moment, man. And a lot of it is just pure ignorance at this point because the word has gone out, right? The warnings have gone out, right? The scripture said, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
show
Crying
my
loud,
people
sparing
their
not. Yep.
transgressions and their sins.
Yep.
We constantly beckon at the hand every week. And it's either in the form of a video or we out there on the highways and byways.
Yep.
Okay? But when you have the fear of the Lord, it says the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Why? Because the treasure really represents the depth of this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the scriptures. All right? This is how we're going to overcome uh, 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 death. This is how we're going to overcome the enemy. This is how we're going to overcome ourselves and the flesh. Is really through the wisdom and the knowledge, okay, of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And it's going to be the stability of the times that we're living in. So when all hell's breaking loose and everything seems unsure, we're going to put our trust in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and we have the hope and belief and faith that the Lord is going to take care of us because we believe, because we've been, to the best of our ability, presenting ourselves a living sacrifice and doing what's expected of us, And now we always are gonna. The thing of it is as the scriptures say, we can never go far enough. So we hoping that you know the Lord has mercy because we really are in a position where we need mercy. A lot of
Yep.
people don't think that way. You know, they think they're gonna do things off of their own means, off of their own strength, and that's just simply not the case.
Yep. Yep.
So this knowledge, wisdom is important, and it's what's going to ground us in the times that we're living in, and really in every situation that we come across. It's our grounding. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps us. It keeps us stable in all things, and having that fear, which, in order for you to have fear of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, the Lord has to incline you onto His character. The scriptures say it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. Remember, the world's perspective of the Most High is what? God is all love, right? Literally, the scriptures tell you that basically their mindset is, and it's in the book of Amos, I forget exactly where, but they're not interested in changing their ways, right? Because they have the mindset that they're not going to be taken in those things, right? The Lord will neither do good nor evil. That's their thought. The
Mm-hmm.
Lord's just up there, just neutral. He observing, but he ain't gonna act on nothing. But wait, didn't the Lord destroy the whole world by a flood? You
Yep.
people,
Yep.
you people are
Yep.
you people are out your
Then
mind,
he
man.
then he destroyed
That
Sodom
was
and Gomorrah.
that was the
You
first
know.
death. The Lord talks about the second death, and the second
Yep.
death is going to come through thermonuclear missiles. All right, and the
Yep. Yep.
purifying from Yahweh Shai and the rest of the angels that will be with him. All right, so we're gonna move on. Uh, so Salakia, brother, Hassad Bangad 5471, Ephesians 5:15. Put it on the screen. Salakia. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Right? So circumspectly, we know that word circumspectly is you know, the prefix circa means around, and spectly is to look, to observe, or to see. So to look around, right? And how do you do that? Filtering everything through the scriptures,
Yep.
having your
Yep.
head on a swivel in a spiritual sense and a literal sense, right? Being observant, watching the times. You said, oh, I'm sorry, Salaki, you read Second Esdras, I believe the ninth chapter, right?
Yep. Yep.
A little bit ago, it said,
Yep.
measure thou the times diligently in themselves. How do you measure the times? First of all, you need to have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, okay? And you need to be inclined onto the prophecies, okay? And through the word, that's how you measure. That's how you see, okay, we're at this part of the scripture, or we're at this part of the prophecy, okay? What does the Lord say to do? Okay, that's how we're going to operate. That's how we're going to maneuver. That's our strategy. The strategy is what's written in the scriptures, okay? Not what Esau says, not what your own mind says, and not certainly what the hell these people are doing. The scriptures say not to follow a multitude to do evil, right? Um, brother, again, Qasad Bangad 5471. We put on the screen. It says Luke 22:31. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan, right, which is the adversary, right? Shaitan means adversary, hath desired to have you that he may sift you as wheat. And
Mm-hmm.
as we started the lesson, that is a spiritual demon, Satan. But remember, the spiritual demon, Satan, comes through different avenues,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep.
The spiritual demon, Satan, could hop on your woman, cause contention there. And if you're not careful and navigate that situation through a spiritual lens, you might get caught up, right? And through that situation, right? Be disheartened, begin to lose faith. Because we know that we're subject to loss. It's not a strange thing for the Lord to recalibrate us through severe measure. And see, when something is taken from you, the reality is this. It's supposed to, if you a man of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, draw closer to him. So if you draw further away, then you're in the spirit of an apostate. And that's the second half of this lesson, through the spirit. Because we are in the year 2026, which is the year of the apostate, right? The sellout and the
Sell out.
agent
Yep.
being revealed.
Yep.
And you don't want to be in a position of apostate. That's total fucking betrayal, man. That's why you got to examine yourself in the faith. Because there's guys, even right now, right? With even in Great Millstone, there's guys right now who don't really believe. And you know the two jokers, right? The two jokers from ex Sakari, right? Look at what look at where they're at right now. They playing the part of apostate, an agent, and a sellout. They
Mm-hmm.
all three. They all three. Triple through. But if Satan is able to infiltrate and sift you, then you're gonna become an apostate,
Yep.
right? Now
Yep.
we have the definition. You still able to pull it up on your end? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I know brothers have other precepts, so bear with us if we don't get to them, just so we can, keep going, because we have a couple of other precepts we'd like to get to. So just Salakia. Um, but yeah, uh, get the definition for apostate, which brothers, have already gone into this, but through the spirit, we going through it, you know, and reinforcing it through the spirit, man. Hey, everything through the spirit is um is applicable, right? And bears repeating. Go ahead. With the definition if you got it.
Yep. So I'm just gonna do the AI overview, and then it's gonna go into the etymology and then the definition and characteristics. It says an apostate is an individual who formally renounces, abandons, or turns away from a previously held religious faith, belief system, or less commonly a political cause. So specifically, someone who renounces or abandons or turns away from a previously held religious faith.
Now, listen. The thing is, the ultimate form of betrayal is if you take that C hit. When you think about it, because we were bought with a price, and that was Yahweh's blood. And when you came into what you believe is the faith and the ministry, you did enter a contract. You made an allegiance. Actually, real quick, I know you're reading that, Babak, just get the definition of allegiance. Okay? Get the definition of allegiance, Babak. And this is why the elder and apostles always constantly be saying, hey, there are guys that don't really know what they're involved in.
So the definition of allegiance in Merriam-Webster, definition 2, it says devotion or loyalty to a person, group, or cause.
There you go. There you go. Where are your devotions? Where's your loyalty? That's why the scriptures talk about in the latter times there shall be truce breakers.
Yeah.
Whether you realized it or not, you entered into a commitment. And there's really no escaping it. So you either fulfill your obligations and hopefully are rewarded, because the opposite of that is you got to die a horrible death. That's the only way out the contract. Or rather, that's the terms of breaking the contract. Either way, you're going to fulfill it. You know? That's all. So that's the ultimate form of betrayal. So in other words, what I'm getting at is, if you're not really about this thing, you're gonna betray Yahweh Shem Yahushai in the worst possible way. Or in the worst possible way really for you, because you're gonna die a horrible death. Particularly that thermonuclear destruction. You still there, brother? Hello? All right, hold on. See, the brother got kicked out.
So like, yeah, I think
No,
I don't know
you
what's
good.
happening there. I got a
You good.
precept then too, but
All right, we're gonna,
back up
and
what you were saying.
Salakia, I don't mean to do this, but we're gonna have to expedite because my battery is literally about to go. So
Oh
we're
shoot,
just gonna have to,
all right.
yeah, we're just gonna have to make our last couple of points, and you know,
All right.
hey,
Well, this
if
goes
we're able
into
to do
this.
a follow, we'll do a follow. We had to, but through the spirit, we're just gonna have
Yeah.
to kind of get through this quick because it's about to go.
All right. All right. This is gonna just back up the word apostate. This is 1 Timothy 4:1. It says, "Now the Spirit speaketh expressly," and this is how we also can back up that word in the latter times. It says that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith. That's the definition of apostate. Apostates. It says, "Giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils." So there you
Yeah,
go.
we seen that being fulfilled. You know, guys
Yep.
changing up the doctrine. You know, thinking they're being original, which we already know their whole motive is really about making money anyway. They were really never a part of the ministry, you know.
Right.
They snuck up in there, they took on a likeness as if they were really about it. And, you know, they exposing themselves, you know, but through the
Yep.
spirit they're
Yep.
being exposed.
You
You
know,
know,
they like
that's
a little bit of
they're a
fame that
prime
they got
example
with
of
it, a
what
little bit
not to
of,
do.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, these guys that that weren't really ever in it, they would like they like the idea of the fame that came with it. It was this the modern day wicked scribes and Pharisees of the old time. That's all they were. Getting a little bit of position of power by the the Romans at that time. That's all these guys are today, just wicked scribes and Pharisees, seeming to be higher than now. That's why Yahweh Shai is like, do what they don't do as they do as they say.
Right.
Because they were all in wickedness. They weren't actually
Yeah,
doing half the things that they were saying to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's playing out all over again, you know. And at the end of the
Yep,
day, you know, we understand that we're all subject to whatever we done in the past. You know,
yep, yep,
if you were a demon in the past, you're gonna be a demon now. If you
yep,
were you know, a spiritual man that you know, believed in Yahweh Shemel Shai, then that's what you are now, right?
yep.
Or a woman, if you believed, you know, you believe now. So
Do you want me to get? I can get one more precept. Do you? I can get 2 Corinthians 13:5 or Psalms twenty
well,
six and
did
two.
we
Definitely.
finish the pot? You finished apostate, right?
Yeah, the definition for apostate. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
Okay, okay. So I got something on apostate. I don't know if you read it. I know you did. It was like an overview, right? You did the overview.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
You
the
actually highlight. If you want to highlight one of the brothers' comments, I actually broke down apostate pretty well. If as you speak on apostate, you can probably highlight. I don't know if I can do it. Yeah, I can show on stage. Let me see if you can see that.
yeah, the
Oh,
brother
probably not.
Shemaiah 144X. Yeah.
I don't know if that. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, apostate. The brother posted person who renounces a religious or political belief or principle. Right.
Yep,
And listen, that if you allow Satan to infiltrate, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. You're going to
yep, yep,
renounce your belief
yep.
and faith. That's the worst place. That's ultimate betrayal, man. That's basically you in the spirit of Judas Iscariot.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. And there's examples of that. There's examples of that. That's
Yeah,
why the scriptures talk about a dog returned to his own vomit. That's why it talks about, being a hot, lukewarm, or a man
yeah,
putting his hand
yeah,
to the plow and looking back. There's all different, different, how can you say, scenarios and situations where it's very, very, what this very word is being spoken from the ancient time to today's time.
yeah. And this is not the time to lose steam. This is the time to
No, no,
you know
absolutely. Yep, yep,
to double down. In truth. You
yep.
know,
And go harder. Yep, yep.
yeah. Keep the momentum.
Now's the time to dig your feet deep.
Yeah, 10 toes down, 10 toes deep.
Yep,
I have apostate goes into the word desertion. The word desertion means to desert a cause. The word desert goes back to abandon or give up. So essentially, these people gave up,
yep,
right? Whether for money, whether for worldly comfort, creature comfort, or false sense of security of some
yep,
degree. And the word abandon literally means in the etymology cast off, and cast off literally means no longer wanted. So you know what that means? You weren't of the elect. You weren't
yep.
wanted. That's a scary place, man, to be. Right?
Yep. If I
This
can
is
say,
why
if
you
I can
gotta
say
be
too,
vigilant. That's why we read
yep,
be vigilant, be sober. Those two principles align with one another.
yep,
Okay? And then the brother's gonna read the last precept, okay? Because you don't want the spirit to be taken from you. The spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you don't want it to be taken from you. The spirit
yep,
was
yep,
taken from these individuals, if they ever had
yep,
it at all, right? To be honest, if they
yep,
ever had it at all, you
yep.
know?
And if I could say real quick, this is like the elder apostle Gabar always says, this thing of ours, right? This thing of ours, man. It's designed to not be, for everybody. It's not designed for, like, that's why it talks about how, the kingdom that's afar off is on a narrow way, and that there's fire on the left of you and a deep water on the right of you. Loosely paraphrasing that, is that not that only one person may go through that way at a time. This thing of ours, this truth, this religious belief that we have, the truth, is by design for not everybody to come and receive it and partake in it.
Yeah,
It's for the elect, it's for the select group, it's for those that adhere onto the end. Those shall be saved. Those
right,
that continue to the end shall be saved. There's going to be many Judas Iscariots from Judas Iscariot till now. It's just that it's by design. It's by the way the Spirit is set up. It's by the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai set it up.
right. Get
And
and
yeah, Yahweh Shai said, they did it to me, they should do it to you.
right, and that's another thing, because we know that Esau, Edom, his agents, and all of that, they are already coming and planning and plotting to
Yep. Yep.
try to defame us and all of
Yep.
that. We know that persecution is coming, but at the same time, you got our own people that are going to try to get us caught up too, right? So that's a part of it, you know. But we believe Yahweh Shema Shai is still, even in those moments, going to protect us and deliver us. That's our hope. That's our
Right.
expectation,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
But we gotta keep ourselves genuine. We got to keep a sense of integrity,
Yep.
right? And we got to make sure that we are keeping
Humility and meek. Yeah. Yep.
right,
Keeping
keeping well,
humble. Yep.
and keeping watch over ourselves that we're not deviating.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yep.
so we don't bring any accusation against ourselves with the body. You know, you got to monitor yourself, man. Make sure you're
Yep.
keeping things, on the straight and narrow. But go ahead,
Yep.
read Second
Oh,
Corinthians.
that's what precept you want to read. That's the Second Corinthians 13 and
Second,
5.
yeah, con, yeah.
All right. This is Second Corinthians 13 and 5. It says, examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not that your own selves, know ye not your own selves, how that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates?
Right. The word reprobate meaning voided judgment. So we have to constantly examine ourselves. It
Yep.
starts with self. Okay. And especially for you men out there, you got to make sure that your own house is in order. We're all, you know, leaders to be, right? Even if you're not necessarily the first or second or third, right? Regardless of rank or what position, all right, or part of the body you may be right now, okay? Because we're all part of the body.
Yep.
We're all under um obligation to have ourselves in order so that those that might come after us have a good solid um leader base. That's the thing, and if your house is in disorder, you're not really in a position where you can genuinely give good instruction to those who are around you, you know and hey, again, we got classic case examples where men wanted to be in leadership positions and they failed.
Yep.
They absolutely failed. Why? Because they themselves weren't in order. So how the hell could they possibly be in a position where they could lead others, right? And you got to remember, when you are in a leadership position, you are responsible not only for yourself, but those who are ultimately um, in your care. The
Yep.
scriptures talk about us being stewards, right? Now, a steward is what? Not just a leader, but someone who oversees the affairs of someone else. And what affairs are we overseeing? The body, the ministry, brothers, right? The Lord's sheep. So you can't be mismanaging that. This is why it's important for you to get yourself in order as much as possible, because that's going to ultimately carry over into how you deal with the body, how you deal with brothers. So you got to examine yourself whether you be in the faith, man. All right? You got to, hey, look, we at the time now, if you're not really about this thing, the Lord pretty much is going to expose you and ultimately destroy you, man.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not fooling anybody but yourself, you know? What's the song by, what? De La Soul? Teenage Fan Club? You played yourself. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You played yourself. Don't play yourself, man. So examine yourself. Make sure you putting yourself under scrutiny. What could I change? How can I hold myself more accountable? What do I need to work on? What do I need to prove upon? That's examining yourself,
Yep. Yep.
especially holding yourself accountable. If you know you're not at where you need to be, you need to make the changes. Well, we got to continue to present ourselves a living sacrifice. This whole thing is about sacrifice.
Yep. Yep.
Our time and laboring energies need to be invested in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai as number one priority. Everything else is secondary. So that's my piece. I'm
Yep.
gonna stop there through spirit. If you have any last final words that you'd like to say,
No, no. I mean, I was just meditating on the book of Baruch where it says, seeing as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High,
there you
therefore
go.
seek Him 10 times more. So you got to put
Con.
yourself under that microscope. Are you seeking Him 10 times more? Are you doing more? Doing above and beyond what you got to do. We got to make sure that we are, fit for the masses' use. We got to make sure that we're, making ourselves as what's it called? Uh, Basically making ourselves acceptable, right? And acceptable to the sight of the Lord, So you got to constantly be examining yourself and scrutinizing yourself. Don't scrutinize others, don't, because how can you lead others if you yourself, like this talks about, can you, cast out the beam in your eye when there's a mote in yours, right? So,
Right,
and
right.
then
Well,
bringing it back.
you can't cast out the mote in your brother's eye when there's a beam in your own.
There you go. There, yep. And then just bringing it full circle. We have Esau being Esau, Edom, and then just all the ways of the Satan, our adversary, just coming out, just trying to bring us down and trying to bring us out of the spirit, man. Trying to take us down, so he can, so we could be, fall victim of the hellfire. That's
Right.
his whole motive.
Well,
That's his OMO, to try to
right.
bring us down. So we got to stay, grounded and in the spirit. So that's
Yeah,
all I got.
and just land backing off of that real quick because you just made a really good point. Don't don't become your own worst enemy. Don't be creating more problems than solutions because we
Mhm.
already have those elements at play at the left hand working against us. So, if you're not out here making proper decisions and learning how to be more decisive and learning how to applicate the scriptures and being more spiritual rather than carnal, you're going to have all of the problems coming at you from the left hand side, but then
Yep.
you are going to be standing in the way of your own progress as well.
Yep. There you go.
So that's all I got to say. So, make the corrections and adjustments necessary so you can continue to progress. And the hope is that we will be delivered, man. And like you said, we'll be acceptable in the sight of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and we'll receive that ultimate reward and consolation. Because we after them crowns, man, Lord's will.
Yep.
We're of
Yep.
that elect,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know.
Yep. We're willing. Yep.
Yep. So,
Al
hey,
Ratazah. Yep.
yep. So we're gonna give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Bahashem, Yahweh
Ba'ashem.
Shai, Bahashem
Yahushai.
Rakakadash.
Ba'ashem. Rakakwadash.
Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and a
Yep.
hearty, sincere shalom to all of the hopeful elect. We hope you are edified this lesson. Until the next time we say, Shalom.
Shalom.